brought to you by oneauto.com, your source for quality parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from One Auto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of oneauto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to remove and replace the airbag clock spring in this 1998 Toyota Camry. The items you'll need for this repair are a 19mm socket and breaker bar, a 10mm wrench, T30 Torx bit with a ratchet and extension, Phillips and flathead screwdrivers, as well as a torque wrench. Using a 10mm wrench, loosen the negative terminal on your battery. Remove and isolate the terminal. Be sure to allow the vehicle to sit for at least 30 minutes after disconnecting the battery. This will allow all the power to drain out of the capacitors and modules and allow you to work on your airbag system safely. Remove the Phillips head screw at the bottom of the clamshell on the steering column. Turn your ignition key to run. Turn the wheel 90 degrees to the right. Remove this Phillips head screw. Rotate the wheel in the opposite direction. And remove this Phillips head screw. Using a small flat blade screwdriver, separate the upper and lower steering column covers. Lift up, remove the upper portion of the clamshell, pop out the panel around the tilt column lever. You need to remove the front with a flat blade screwdriver. Tilt the column up. Remove the lower portion of the clamshell. On the back side of the steering wheel, small round cover. Pry that out with a flat blade screwdriver or a non-marring prying tool. Inside there is a T30 Torx screw. Using the T30 Torx socket, an extension and a ratchet, loosen the screw. Now these are usually a captured screw, which means you can loosen it fully without it coming out of the steering wheel. Check as you loosen it. Eventually, you'll feel that the airbag is free of the bolt. Using a small flat blade screwdriver or a non-marring pry tool, remove the cover from the driver's side of the airbag. This will reveal another T30 Torx screw. Remove that with a T30 Torx socket and a ratchet. Again, this is a captured style bolt, meaning that even though it's been loosened completely, it may not come out. Keep spinning it until you can remove the airbag. You can never be too safe when working on an airbag. Even though I usually wear rubber gloves, be sure to touch some metal surfaces and remove any static charge that may be on your body before removing the connector for the airbag. Remove the airbag from the steering wheel. Carefully pry up on the clip with a small flat blade screwdriver. Release the safety for the electrical connector and remove it from the steering wheel. Remove the white electrical connector from the clock spring may be helpful to push down with a flat blade screwdriver. Remove the 19mm nut in the center of the steering wheel. This can be on there pretty good, so you want to make sure that you have a good sized breaker bar. Be sure that your steering wheel is straight and that you do not move this or the clock spring, as the clock spring can only move so many rotations before it will tear and damage. If it's not centered when you reinstall, then the first time you turn your steering wheel, you can risk damaging or breaking your clock spring. Once the wheel is loose, evenly tap on both sides of the wheel until it comes off of the splines. Remove the 4 Phillips head screws, securing your clock spring to the steering column with a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. Remove the clock spring from the steering column. Remove the electrical connectors at the base of the clock spring. There's a safety on the yellow connector because it's an airbag line. Move that out of the way. Release the connector. Remove your clock spring. Whether you're reinstalling your old airbag clock spring or you've received a new part that is not locked into the proper position, these clock springs can only turn so many times before they will break and cause failure of all the electrical components in the steering wheel, up to and including the airbag. So if ours is not in the correct clocked position, you'll note that our sticker says we have 5 turns and an arrow. This means that from the point at which the clock spring won't turn any farther, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns before it will not move any farther the other way. So once we've found the point at which we can't make any more turns, our center point will be 2.5 rotations. So we have 1, 2, and these are just approximate, mind you, because when we reach our half turn, you'll notice that there's a little arrow marked on. There's our 2.5 turns. We'll want to make sure when we reinstall the clock spring and its components that we've kept it at 2.5 turns. Reconnect the yellow electrical connector. Snap the safety back into place. Reinstall the black connector to the left. Reinstall the clock spring onto the column. You'll see that there's a tab on either side with a notch in the column where they line up. Be sure that you have aligned your clock spring properly before tightening it down and reinstalling the wheel. Reinstall your 4 Phillips head screws. Reinstall the steering wheel. Feed the yellow electrical connector through the top. Line it up nice and straight. Tap it back onto the splines. Reinstall the electrical connector at the top. And start the center nut by hand. Torque the steering wheel nut to 26 foot-pounds using a 19mm socket and torque wrench. Be sure to touch some metal parts of the car. Be sure that your body is free of any static electricity before touching the airbag. Staying clear of the airbag, Reconnect the electrical connector. Lock the safety back into place. Lay the bag back into the wheel. Tighten the two T30 screws on either side of the airbag with a T30 Torx bit and a ratchet. After tightening each screw, reinstall the plastic covers on the back of the steering wheel. Place the upper portion of your steering column cover back on. You may have to drop the tilt steering wheel down to make this easier. Tilt the column up and install the lower portion of the cover. Reinstall the cover on the tilt portion. Install the Phillips head screw at the bottom of the column. Insert your key. Turn it to run so you can rotate the wheel 90 degrees. Tighten the Phillips head screw with a screwdriver. Rotate the wheel 180 degrees in the opposite direction and install the last screw. Straighten the wheel. Turn your key off. Reconnect the negative battery terminal and tighten it down.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope this video helped you out. Next time you need parts for your car, please visit oneauto.com. Also check out our other helpful how-to as well as diagnosis videos.